You guys are our first line of defense before that woman makes a decision that she cannot go back on. And I just want to thank you guys and honor you. You guys are doing a great job illuminating truth, hope, and life, not only on your campus, but also in your communities. And so I would like to welcome some really awesome women who are going to give you some more tools so you can be even more effective. Today on our panel, we have Sally Wynn. She's the Vice President of Feminists for Life. We also have Peggy Hartshorn. Peggy is the president of Heartbeat International. And then Beth Rahal, who is our Pregnant on Campus coordinator for Students for Life. So welcome to our panel. So today, I just thought it'd be fun to kind of hang out with you guys. It's sort of like a chick chat here, so you guys just bear with us.
There's nobody there.
No one's rolling their eyes, right? Okay, good. All right, well, so we want to bring real, tangible things onto our campuses, right? Right? Yes, we do. And so first off, Sally, I just want to hear a little bit about what you do with Feminists for Life and maybe some of your own story of how resources, having them on campus or not having them on campus, has impacted your own life.
Well, thanks, Tina. You know, I have been with Feminists for Life now for longer than you guys have been alive, probably, a lot of you. But I got pregnant my junior year in college, and I come from a very liberal family, and I was very pro-choice at the time. I even had a bumper sticker on the car. And when I found myself pregnant, I realized I didn't have any place to live on campus, and I went to a Big Ten college. I didn't have any place to live on campus if I had the child. There was no undergraduate parental housing. I had no health coverage in my health insurance for students. And the daycare that was there, when I called, they're like, oh, yes, dear, we have daycare. But first it goes to the tenured professors, and then it goes to the associate professors, and then it goes on down the line and graduate students. And dangling at the bottom of the food chain, undergraduates could put their babies there. But currently, we're full, and there's a waiting list if you'd like to put your name on it. Well, when you're pregnant, there's not much of a waiting list. It's kind of binary, you know? You don't get to say, hold on just a minute. So there I was, a junior in college with no place to live, no place to leave a baby, no money to pay for the delivery, and very pro-choice. And those decisions that I made right then were very profound. You see, it wasn't one of those things where I thought about my religious beliefs or I thought about my political beliefs. I was young, I was in college, and I was scared to death. I was thinking about the basics in life, what resources are available. Well, fortunately, I had a very supportive family, and I was able to go and move to another campus and have my daughter, Emily. And she's now 21. Thank you. Yeah, she really is that awesome. She's 21, and she's been involved with the Students for Life group on her campus, so as she should be. Anyway, but, you know, I had family that helped fill everything in. But what we found at Feminists for Life is so many people don't have that option. I mean, you look at the abortion statistics on college campuses, and we're finding women don't have the resources they need. So a long time ago, we started doing the Pregnancy Resource Survey, which has now developed into the great guide that Students for Life and Feminists for Life works together on, that you can find on their website. And we have a link from ours somewhere, but theirs is probably easier to find. And we started having students evaluate their campuses to find out what there is available and what there isn't available for students. And then what we would do is, generally, Feminists for Life, we come in on campus and we bring all the people who can make decisions, all the administrators, we bring them together and say, okay, do you have housing? Do you have daycare? Do you have maternity coverage? Do you have diaper decks? I mean, everything. And we hold them accountable for what they do and don't have. Your student group actually is the one that does this. That's why Students for Life does such a good job of getting you here and mobilizing you so that we can work together. And really, I think some of the work we did helped to inspire the Pregnant on Campus initiative. So we've been working together for a long, long time. Not that long, we're very young. But we've been working together so that we can give you the tools you need to go onto your campus, talk to your administrators, and actually change the campus. That's the kind of legacy that you can leave behind to the next person who comes, because you're going to graduate eventually. No, really, you will. Promise. And so when you graduate, you want to leave a legacy that continues on. And if you start making the change on campus, then it keeps going and it keeps rolling and it keeps getting bigger. And you can really see that things that you actually do on campus make it possible for women to continue their educations if they become pregnant, so they don't have to choose between their children and their education. So that's what we do at Feminists for Life, and we love to help however we can with the student groups, and we have a table out there with a lot of information, and that's what we do. We help give you the tools you need to change your campus with the administration. And we stand on a lot of feminist history, I have to say. For any of you who are like, oh, feminist? The F word? Just so you know, the other one, twice as long. Just so you know, we are the true feminists. That's right. Right here. All the early American feminists were pro-life without known exception. We've got a magazine on the table that talks all about it. Take 1, take 5, whatever. I don't want to take them home. But we are the true pro-life feminists because we believe that society should change to accept women. We should not have to change to be accepted by society. And that's why we need pregnant resources.
That was good. Thank you, Sally. Well, one of the things I really have enjoyed in getting to know Feminists for Life is the study that you guys did. I love what you called it. What did you call your study?
Perception is reality.
And I love that because that's really true, isn't it? If we don't see something, it doesn't matter what's really there. It's what we believe is there that is our truth. And so using the survey for campuses really lifts the veil off what is available on a campus. Because if the perception that nothing is there, then for that pregnant, scared student, there's nothing there. Right. Even if there is. And so I love what you guys do in assessing, because I think that's one of the first things you guys need to do on your campuses is assess.
Absolutely. You don't know what your task list is.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what your job is as the pro-life group on campus. I mean, you can stand up and talk about what's right, but if you want to create change for these pregnant women, you have to know what you're facing. Mm-hmm. And so that's where the assessment really comes into play. You go and you find out, what do we have, what don't we have, why don't people know about this? Mm-hmm. It's like daycare. Do you know how many people I had to call? I know, there was no internet. Shh, shh. Yeah. I mean, there was, but we didn't know how to use it yet. Al Gore was still working on it. But we had to make phone calls, and I called all these places, and nobody knew. Nobody knew. I finally got a hold of somebody in the education department who just happened to know. And so women need to not have to search that far because, you know, they can open up the phone book or they can look online and make one phone call, one appointment. They take MasterCard and Visa and take care of it that way. And we don't want women to face that.
And I think, you know, that's the problem is that a lot of women on campuses are taking out their visa. Yeah. And they're choosing to abort because they feel like that's the only option that they have is it's either their education or it's their child. And they don't feel like they can do both. And so you guys have an epidemic on campus of women who are hurting because they're post-abortive, because they didn't have anybody there. Maybe they didn't know what resources were there, and so they didn't choose life. And so they're grieving, maybe they're angry, maybe you've met some of them on your campus when you're hosting one of our tour displays and you're riling things up. But I have Peggy here with us today, and she's just gonna share a little bit about what we can do to reach post-abortive women on campus because you know that they're there and they're hurting. And sometimes as a pro-life movement, the things we do and the things we say brings up a lot of pain for them. And so it's really important to feel out what can we do for these women on our campus. And so Peggy, what would you say to that? What can we do for these women?
Well, thanks, Tina. First of all, I think I have heard, I don't know how true this is, not being on a college campus anymore. I actually taught college English for 20 years, but that was a while ago. but I understand, I hear that for many pro-life students, and even in your pro-life groups, post-abortion is not a primary issue that you talk about or that you deal with, and perhaps might be even kind of dismissive about it. And if this is true, I just want to try to encourage you to make this a primary issue. if only for this reason that 50% of all abortions are actually repeat abortions. They're done on women who have already had one or more abortions. How can we stop this massive number of abortions is by helping women get healing. Unless they're healed, if they get pregnant again, and it's highly likely they will, sometimes it's kind of a compensation baby for the one that they lost. And yet, even though that may be the case, they still will proceed and have another abortion because of their woundedness. So if it's only for the reason of saving babies, we need to be interested in this. But also, we've got women who are hurting tremendously. We now know that a lot of symptoms women have, like depression, drug use, multiple sexual partners, all of this can be traced back many times to an abortion. All right, so we would be tremendously helping women with all kinds of issues if we can get to this root issue. So that's really important to know. Another thing that's important is that I understand that many people consider pro-life students and even students for life in your groups to be very judgmental, that we have judgmental attitudes about women who've had abortions. And that sometimes can come across in ways that we don't intend. For instance, a comment that you may make, like, pretty commonly I've heard, how could a woman ever have an abortion? How could she ever have an abortion? Well, guess what? There are probably women listening who have had abortions. And when they hear you say that, you know, they feel like, oh gosh, I could never confess it to her or to him because I know what they think. You know, so they keep that deep, dark, secret shame, and they won't tell anybody. If you have time, I'd love for you to look at a website. It's either stacyzally.org or stacyzally.com. It was put up by the father of a beautiful college girl named Stacy Zally. She was from a pro-life family. She had an abortion because she was so ashamed that she got pregnant, wouldn't tell her parents, hardly told any of her friends. And she went into a depression. Her father tried a psychiatrist. They tried everything to help her. And eventually she committed suicide. And he's put up this website to try to help other people understand, particularly what happened was he never knew until her funeral why she had committed suicide. And one of her acquaintances finally told him, you know what she said to me after she had the abortion? I can't tell my pro-choice friends because the ones I've told just say, get over it. You know, you did the right thing, get over it. And she said, I can't tell my pro-life friends because they wouldn't understand. They don't understand why anyone would ever have an abortion. And so alone and afraid and depressed, she committed suicide. So we need to have an accepting, non-judgmental, loving, caring attitude. One of the things that I have made a vow about as a pro-life speaker is that I never speak about abortion without talking about post-abortion healing, so that anyone who's listening who maybe has had an abortion knows that there's help available. Another thing that I think your clubs and your groups could do is to educate yourselves more about why women do have abortions. And you know, there's a phenomenal study that was published years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago, still true, it was published in First Things. We know this from experience in the pregnancy centers. Women who are pro-choice and women who have had abortions will say about their three options, well, I know I have three options: abortion, adoption, and continuing the pregnancy, keeping the baby. Well, the worst of these three options, they're all bad. The worst is adoption, because I would be forced to be a mother, and then I'd be a bad mother because I'd give my baby away. The next worst is continuing the pregnancy and keeping my baby, because that's the end of my life as I know it. I could never recover from that. So the best option is abortion. I know it's killing my baby. They'll say this. Robbie George mentioned, everybody knows now, you know, from ultrasounds and everything else, human life begins at conception. So they say, I know I'd be killing my baby, but it's the least of the three evils. So this is the way women are thinking. And so when they say it's the end of my life as I know it, this is how they're really feeling. The thoughts, the feelings, the wants, the value, they're all overwhelming them with this is the end of my life. You mentioned it, Sally. That's the way you felt. Luckily, you had a very supportive family, and it wasn't the end of your life. But we have to let people know that it's not the end of their life as they know it. Doesn't have to be. Now, how do we do that? And I think if you hear about a person who may be pregnant, if she comes to you, if you know someone who's had an abortion, or she has the courage, or he, because males suffer from this as well. If they should come to you and say, I've had an abortion, I don't know what to do. Or if they come to you in anger because of what you're doing and say, well, you don't understand. Abortion's absolutely necessary. I had to have one, and I'll tell you why. Now, you don't have to be an expert and think, oh my gosh, what's the brilliant thing to say here? What you have to use is what we call the love approach in Heartbeat International, L-O-V-E. It's based on 1 Corinthians 13. But the first step, L, is listen and learn. All you have to do is say, tell me about it. Wow. How are you feeling? You know, tell me more. What's your story? You know, I want to hear it. And you make eye contact with that person, and you will probably be the very first person they've ever encountered on this issue who wants to sit down, listen to them, and talk about it. That's what you have to do. L step, listen. And then we teach what we call the awareness wheel. You ask about their thoughts, feelings, wants, values, and beliefs. If you think you've heard it, you've heard their thoughts over and over again, why they had to have this abortion, well, now, how are you feeling? What are your feelings? You know, let's explore this. And what do you want now? You know, and how does it affect your values and beliefs? Feelings, thoughts, wants, values, and beliefs. That's the L step, and that will often take the person almost through the healing process just to have someone listening to them. But then the other steps are L-O-V-E. Options, what are their options now? What's a new vision and value that you can share with them? And how can you extend and empower them to make better choices? We have a free download of that on the Heartbeat International website if you're interested. Heartbeatinternational.org, just search Love Approach, and you have a free download. Everybody can learn it, everybody can do it. And we need to deputize you to do it, because think of the thousands and millions of people out there who have had abortions. So I don't want to take too much time. Let's see, did I go over all my points? Since I was an old teacher, I made some points here that I want to go over. The last thing I want to say is, what resources do we have on campus? Can you get on campus? Do you want to do that now?
Well, yeah,
or after the question?
I want to ask that, but I really want to highlight a lot of our groups and a lot of our students are on secular campuses. And so sometimes there's some hesitation because a lot of the post-abortion resources are religious and look very religious, from the front homepage of the website to the literature they have. And so for maybe groups that don't want to put that out first, is there other...
And let me say that those are wonderful materials, but we know
they are
that
wonderful
when a
materials.
woman goes through stages of getting to healing, often there are lots of things that have to happen before she even will recognize that she needs spiritual healing. So that's not generally what you want to come at first. So luckily there is a whole set of materials. There's a wonderful website called Abortion Changes You. AbortionChangesYou.com. That's the one I would recommend. A very neutral materials. You can even send people to the website and they can work through some things on the website to help identify feelings and say, yeah, I guess maybe this is coming from my abortion. And maybe there is something I can do and help available. It's a great resource, abortionchangesyou.com. So I would agree with you there. But if you do find someone who really is honest about suffering at this present moment from a previous abortion, the other great resource, there's a 24/7 hotline for people who have had abortions that I just love. It's called the National Helpline for Abortion Recovery, but the National Helpline. So if you look at nationalhelpline.org, you can get their 800 number. Those two resources you ought to have on your cell phones and be ready, because there have to be hundreds, if not thousands of women on your campus who have had abortion.
Yeah, and then one thing that you were saying that caught me, and that Sally said too, about your life being over. I think sometimes because we're so excited about life and a woman choosing life, we don't give her space to grieve because her life really is over. Would you agree with that?
My life was definitely different.
Well, the life that you, I mean, because
The
I
life
feel like
I
you...
imagined, yeah. I mean, I came from a family where 3 of my grandparents were professors. My dad has 4 master's degrees and his doctorate, and I'm an only child, and I got pregnant when I was a junior. So, as you might imagine, kind of stressed the family out a little bit. But now, I've got 2 daughters who are in college, and I'm a different person, but I'm not a worse person for it.
Absolutely.
And loving them and having them, because I had the support around me, enabled me to really appreciate being a mother and helped me look into a whole different side of life. It was like Christmas all over again. I know that sounds silly, but everything when you have children is different. I'm a much more compassionate person and loving person because of Emily and Hannah. And I couldn't see that at the time. I was so scared that I couldn't see it, but ultimately my life was just different, not worse. It was just different.
But do you agree about like giving someone a moment to grieve? Because there is a real like loss
When
that's
they know that they're pregnant.
yeah.
Absolutely. They need, again, the listening is what you need to do. How are they feeling? Process that. What are your thoughts? What do you want? Just be there for them and keep asking questions, but open-ended questions, not pinning them down, but tell me more about it. And feedback. I can see that you're biting your lip. Does that mean that you're really scared? Give them some feedback so they know you're really listening. Someone said, and I love this saying, the best alternative to abortion is another person. So we have to be one-on-one with these people, and it's an honor if someone has shared that with you. It's an honor if someone has shared that they've had an abortion. They know they can come to a person who cares, and then we need to be that caring person for them. Yeah.
Chances are if they go to their health clinic on campus or something, the first words they're going to hear is, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Well, how can they be sorry that you're pregnant if you don't even have time to think about it yet, right? It's
And
like,
then maybe right away say, now you know what your options are.
right. Here's the number for them.
Yeah.
So Beth, taking these things and tying it all together, how do we bring some of these things onto campuses to impact our campus?
Well, first off, I want to thank, obviously, Sally and Peggy for their experience and expertise in both these different subjects, because we need to be listening and learning from women here and from the other speakers here today so that we can take this back to campus. But we know that this conference isn't just about what happens here. It's about bringing this back to your campus. So the title of the panel, if you guys didn't catch it before, is Bringing Truth, Hope, and Light to Your Campus. So what does that actually mean? Because I looked at the title and I'm like, oh, that's really pretty. Yeah, okay. Lovely. What does that actually mean? This is actually a call to action for you and for your student group. We're calling you to action. If you want to bring truth to your campus, you must educate your peers. You must educate them about pregnancy, about abortion, about options, and about life-affirming resources to support them. If you want to bring hope to your campus, you must show your peers that you care. So you need to step out as advocates for these pregnant, parenting, and post-abortive friends and classmates on your campus. You have to show them tangibly, visibly, vocally, that you care about them, about their unique story, about their genuine concerns and needs, that you are there to offer compassionate and non-judgmental support. You're not there to judge them for why they're pregnant or why they made a decision in the past. You're there to help them and support them. And then finally, if you want to bring light to your campus, you have to take action. You cannot bring your campus out of darkness. You cannot free them from the darkness of the culture of death if you just sit back and look around and say, yeah, I'm pro-life, that's great. Good job, pat in the back for saving your child. That's not enough. You guys have to be the ones to take action to bring resources to campus and to show your college community that you care about the young mothers and fathers on your campus. Because I'm sorry, the college campuses aren't doing that. They aren't advertising resources. They aren't expanding their childcare programs or their housing options available on campus. So you guys need to be the ones to do that. Now, again, that's all lovely, and that's lovely little bullet points, but what does that actually look like? So what tangible steps can we take to make that happen on your campus? So what I want to share with particularly our college student groups is the Pregnant on Campus initiative. This is a very special program, a very wonderful, amazing program that I get to be a part of. It's a college initiative to work with your student groups to make an action plan for your campus so that we can transform your campuses with resources that will actually help these women on campus choose life. Because we can't expect women to feel empowered to make a life-affirming choice if they're looking around and they're not seeing your support, they're not seeing resources, they're not seeing help for their unique situations. So with the Pregnant on Campus initiative, what we do is our SFLA team, our regional coordinators, who you all should know by now, and if you don't know them, come talk to me, I'll tell you who they are. Come talk to us. We want to work directly with your student group to solve the issues on your campus. Because there's no cookie cutter solution, as much as we'd love that to be true, but there are ways that we can address the problems and the voids on your campus, and there are actionable steps that we can take in order to fill the gaps. So, what can you really do with this? What does this look like? Well, it can be things as small and simple as starting obviously the Pregnant on Campus initiative, but taking the resources survey. Find out what's available on campus, find out what's available in the community so that you can actually answer students when they come and ask you for help. It can be as simple as having a table outside of your student union with informations about local resources or about Title IX rights, or even with pregnancy tests to let students know that you are here and you have the answers to their situation. You can start with things as small and simple as that, things that are really easy to organize, and from there, just let it grow. Get creative, get confident, and see where you take it. Now, I have some student groups here today who have done a phenomenal job bringing Pregnant on Campus to their college community. And they started from the steps. They started just surveying their campus, doing their homework, and they have gone so far. So one student group that I want to point out, and I would love for them to stand up and give y'all a wave, is UNM, University of New Mexico Students for Life. Where are y'all? All right, they're back there. Give them a round of applause. All right, I love this student group. And I know I'm not supposed to play favorites, but these guys are awesome because just barely 2 years ago, I talked to Sam Serrano, and she was like, hey, I want to do Pregnant on Campus. And I was like, oh, bring it. Let's do this. And they went from the very basic steps to this January. They are reopening their student-run pregnancy resource center on campus called the Gabriel Project. They're going to be offering pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, peer-to-peer counseling, resource referral, material aid, and they are directly supporting students on their campus. That's what you guys can do. Yeah, give them a round of applause. And we are just so proud of this group. Second group I want to point out, Mississippi State Students for Life. Where are y'all? Where are you? I'm looking around. Stand up, right there. All right, these guys, they have barely had the Pregnant on Campus initiative less than a year. They started with a resource guide, just a resource guide, something that you're all expected to do. The director of the health center saw the resource guide and was like, wow, this is pretty great. And they didn't even notice the totally pro-life stuff that we had on there. And this director, little did we know, is on a state advisory board pushing forward an initiative to support pregnant and parenting students across the state of Mississippi. This lady came to our lovely Anya, and she said, I want your advice. I want your direct advice on what this initiative should bring to college campuses. I want you to look at the grants that we're putting forward. So this group of students, they're not only just affecting their campus, they're legit affecting the entire state of Mississippi. So please give them a round of applause. And thank you, guys. Love these students. Guys, these are student groups just like you. They're starting from groups as small as 5 to, groups as large as 100 student groups. And they start at the simplest steps, and they just go from there. And these are the types of projects that you can accomplish on your campus if you just take small steps to get involved and to get active. We don't expect you guys to do the same exact things on every campus. It's gonna look different for you. But we do expect you to take action. So, for my college groups, 4 steps, 4 very, very, very easy steps that you need to take to get involved in the Pregnant on Campus initiative and to successfully bring it to your campus. So, step number 1, make the commitment. Talk to your student groups, not just your leaders, but also your members. Talk about why Pregnant on Campus is important to your student group. Talk about what you want to do with it. And then talk about the vision that you have for your campus. Where do you want to go? How do you want to create a legacy on your campus? And make the commitment. Call, text, email, snail mail, whatever, your regional coordinator and say, we are on board. Bring it. Let's get this done. Number 2, I want you to do your homework. Yeah, I know, that's not a fun one. But doing your homework, take the time to identify the resources on campus in the community. Do the resources survey, find out what's available so you know the answers to questions, and so that you can fill the gap for things that are missing, for things that need to be improved on campus. Number 3 is make a plan. I don't want you guys just going out there and saying, diaper deck, that sounds fun. Oh, baby shower, bring it. I mean, that's great, that's fun, I love it, I would do it too, but I want you to be very intentional about the projects that you're choosing. I want you to choose projects that fill specific needs on your campus, that answer to specific students on campus, so that you are slowly making progress across your campus to fulfill the vision, the long-term vision that you have for your campus. And number 4 is, of course, take action. Take action. Finish the projects you set out to do. Don't just make empty promises, because there's nothing more disappointing than getting to the end of the semester and saying, I wish I did that better. I wish we actually finished that. I want you guys to really go forward and complete what you started. I want you to celebrate your victories, tell us about your victories, and challenge yourself to do better. So if you are a college student group here today, in the next couple of weeks, I hope to hear from every single one of you that you are on board so that we can work with you guys to change your campus and the next campus and every single campus on this country until we have reduced abortion and hopefully abolished abortion among our college-age women. All right? Everyone on board?
Yeah. So, one of the things, sometimes the best laid plans that we have, we've worked really hard, we've done our homework, and we hit a roadblock called administration. I don't know if anyone has hit a roadblock of administration here in this room. I know a few of you have personal stories with that, but I'm wondering, Sally, I know kind of Feminists for Life has maybe perfected the art of dealing with, or close to perfected, I'm not sure.
Well, we're a work in progress. Right. It's only been 18 years of our college outreach program. We can still get better. So, yeah, I mean, it's a funny thing. Most administrators just read the feminist part and they let us in the door. Seriously. On secular campuses, if you go in like as, the Cardinal Newman Society or other things, they just go, whoop, and they don't hear you. You come in as Feminists for Life and all of a sudden they're paying attention because we can help you do something special that really impresses the administrators. What they want to see is they want to see students working together. They have to walk a fine line. They have to make their donors happy and things like that. So they don't want to really alienate the groups, although they do sometimes. They want to see students work together. They want you all to sing Kumbaya together, hold hands and all that stuff. So if you start focusing on these resources, Feminists for Life can help you with these administrators and really get in there and say, well, this is how we can get the women's group involved. Wait, what? The Students for Life group and the women's group? Students for Life and Feminist Majority working together? Yeah, we do that. We do that because when we say, okay, here's the deal. I believe one way, you believe another, but we're going to check our views of Roe at the door. When we walk in this room, we're going to talk about what do pregnant women need on campus. That's pro-woman. That's common ground, and that is something that administrations can really get behind. And, you know, like I said, we've been doing this for a while. We helped to pass the Pregnancy Assistance Fund, which is legislation that's been passed, and there's funding available for your campuses. It's state block grants that they apply for through the Department of Health and Human Services, and there's like millions of dollars to be had. I'm not even kidding. And if the state gets the money, then they have to give it to college campuses that are working on resources for pregnant and parenting students. Seriously. There's money there to help start some of these big initiatives. So once you do your homework, let us help you talk to the administration and help you find that money. Because when you get the money, then you can really make some change. But until then, you just keep working hard at it, and you've got the energy. We'll help you do it, but you guys get to go and do it. So
Yeah. And then I just want to kind of, maybe a little off script. Sorry, Peggy. I just want to throw you for a loop. Can I throw you for a loop
Sure,
today?
I'll
Awesome.
try.
So in all this, I feel like no matter what you do, you're always going to be bringing up issues for post-abortive women. Even when they just start to see like a pregnancy center form on campus, or they see daycare on campus,
Absolutely.
these things get brought back up. I mean, for some women, a lot of things can be triggers. And so I'm curious, what's something that these students can always have on hand or always know so that they can send people or give people something right away, or I don't know, just like some tools if someone's very angry or...
I really think the best thing that I have seen is Abortion Changes You. Abortion Changes You, I believe it's .com. I want to make sure of that so that you have it. Yeah, abortionchangesyou.com. I was pulling it up even just earlier on my smartphone. Not all websites work as well on phones. This one does. And it helps, you know, you don't have to get into all these issues in depth. I'm not an expert in after abortion, post-abortion care. And none of us are really, probably very few, if any, in this room. So all we have to do is listen, again, be empathetic, and say, why don't you check out abortionchangesyou.com? Because that website will take them with some very simple questions, just kind of delving in. Are you feeling this way? What about this? All right, and it's very user friendly. Now, if your chapter can, there are brochures that you can get from Abortion Changes You. There's a book, a workbook that can be worked through. You could have those available at your chapter. So you could even say, hey, I know we've got something. I've got something back in my room. You know, let me get you one of those brochures. And so you're starting the person taking one step toward recovery. Again, we don't have to take responsibility that I have to somehow help this person be totally healed, because it's a long process. But helping them take the first step and knowing they've got a friend, someone that they've confided this in, and now that secret shame is kind of starting to become out in the open. Just that is a relief.
And I know some of our students kind of struggle with a fear of offending or hurting people and dredging up things.
By bringing up.
By bringing up
Yeah.
things. So sometimes there's a little bit of tentativeness or
Right.
fear maybe of offense or, and so can you address that maybe just a little bit? Because I don't think that it should necessarily hold them back from doing things, and yet they could be prepared if it does bring back something for someone.
Well, in the early days of the pregnancy help movement, the very first post-abortion programs really came out of pregnancy centers. And one of the first ones came out of the pregnancy center that I helped start in Columbus, Ohio. And we faced that. You know, we faced a lot of opposition to even having a post-abortion program. People said, oh, if you bring it up, you're going to rock the boat. What if someone then would commit suicide? You know, we had professional counselors that didn't want to get involved, even to advise our post-abortion group. Now we've learned that that's not to be feared. What's to be feared is keeping that secret shame, like with Stacey Zally. And that, you know, it's not, again, I think if the approach when the crack occurs, if you think someone's had an abortion, they're implying that, they've said it, maybe they've even said it in anger, just taking that gentle step is, you know what, abortion does change things. And here's a resource, check out that website. And then if you want to talk about it, I'd love to talk to you about it. I don't know much about it. You could share with me. How are you feeling? I'd love to know more about how it's affected you. You know, so I think one thing that's inhibiting for us is thinking that we have to be the expert. We have to solve the problem. You know, we have to take them from A to Z. And that's not really the case. You know, a lot of the materials that Heartbeat publishes, in fact, our key material, is called Planting the Seed, the love approach. So you just take it a little step at a time. Maybe someone else has planted that seed. You're doing a little watering, you know, or you're pulling up some weeds along the way. So it's all a process. And if we can be just a little part of it, that's less intimidating for me. Yeah.
I know I always say, and I said this a lot of times in the office, that we're seed sowers
Yeah.
at Students for Life.
Yes.
We offer things out and we throw things out there and we plant truth and we plant hope and we do these things, but we don't always know what's going to happen.
You often don't see the fruits.
And you often don't. And it can
Yeah.
be discouraging. Sometimes we work really hard and we see change brought about maybe in small ways, but not how we hoped. So I'm throwing you guys for loops today. How do we deal with the discouragement with this stuff? When a plan doesn't come together as we thought it would, when administration isn't bending how we hoped they would? I don't know if anyone has something right away that comes to them, but...
You know, I think one thing that we can work on is it's easy when we do what we do to feel discouraged, especially when people are turning away from us, you know, that kind of thing. And I know you get a lot of that. Try to regroup and make sure. I think something Peggy said was so important as far as always assume that someone that you're talking to, even within your pro-life group, is post-abortive. In this room, there are people who are post-abortive. Always assume that there are people who want to be pro-life who are feminists, who are Democrats, who are liberals. There's no such thing as what a pro-lifer looks like anymore. And that's a beautiful thing. We need the diversity because we need to reach everywhere. So if you're getting frustrated, maybe examine your approach and make sure that you're being open and all-encompassing and letting anyone who wants to help for life come in and help for life and help you with these resources. And remember, it's going to be hard. You're making a systemic change. But can you imagine, like, if Susan B. Anthony and the early American feminists gave up the right to their whole fight for the right to vote? Can you imagine that? We wouldn't be able to vote. We wouldn't be able to be sitting up here talking to you. Is that good or bad? No, I'm kidding.
It's bad. It's
bad. So think about those things. I mean, it's hard and it's frustrating, but you are the leaders who are going to make the change. You could be making a change and not know it. We've had people come up years later and say, you know what? I saw one of your speakers, and that's why I chose life. Or because of something the student group did while I was there, made it so that I could have my child. And you don't even know. But just being a presence and being welcoming and open and loving in your approach, you are making a difference. You just may not see it until your kids are in college. But it's worth it.
Well, I know something we talk about on the SFLA team very, very often is celebrating your victories. And I'm not saying all the huge victories, I'm saying everyday simple victories. You recruited a new member, an event went successfully, you tried something new that you never tried before, and maybe you didn't get the attendance you wanted, but you did it. So really taking the time to celebrate each time that your group successfully gets through a project or has a great conversation or you discovered a new resource. Take heart to those, because there are going to be times. There are going to be times when projects we planned and projects that we really put our heart into get shut down or don't go as well as we wanted. Or maybe the Women's Center shuts the door on you, or Vox throws a tantrum over your project. And you're all looking around thinking, oh, why am I doing this? Like, is it worth this emotional turmoil?
We all ask ourselves that. Even those of us up here ask ourselves that.
It is, and it can be exhausting at times. But there are so many wonderful moments along the way that we can celebrate. And if you take those to heart and find joy in the everyday experiences of your group and the even small successes, you will grow so much and you will see real changes happening because you're counting your blessings and you're counting your victories in a very good way.
Great. Yeah, gosh, as I'm thinking of the small victories, I agree with that. Just realizing that just taking one step toward the positive outcome that you hope and see, that is a victory. And particularly when you're dealing with individual people who've had abortions or could think they may be pregnant, that is a tremendous victory that they've found you, and that you're the person that they've confided in, and that you can get the resources if you don't have them immediately on your fingertips to help that person. So I think always trying to be the loving, caring, pro-life person that you are to those around you opens up a lot of opportunities for victories on personal relationship basis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, favorite event on campus? What's your favorite, what has been, you've seen as being your favorite way to put forward either these resources or how being vocal on campus about post-abortion outreach?
I have to say, my favorite thing to do on campuses is lecture, because it's fun. I get to talk to you guys and everything. But the most gratifying thing that we do is our pregnancy resource forums, where we actually have the students and the administration get together and all of a sudden put into action, like you were talking about the action, that all these ideals that they've had and the actual work gets done. So sure, lectures are fun and it's great to see students get excited about it all, but it's the actual pregnancy resource forums that Feminists for Life does that really, to me, is just why we do what we do. I mean, it's seeing the students working together with people they may disagree with on a lot of things, seeing the administration come around and be like, well, yeah, I guess it would be better if we tried to help women complete their educations and have their children if they want. Attrition rates aren't as high. They get to keep more money. Campuses are happy. They just don't know it yet. So to me, that gives me the goosebumps, is seeing those things start to happen and the lights start coming on in the administration and the real change. It's like trying to move that big rock, it just takes a little bit of momentum, and that's so exciting, so exciting.
Well, I think definitely my absolute favorite project with a student group is going out and doing campus outreach. And I think a lot of our regional coordinators would agree with me, because being out there with your student group, watching you guys grow in confidence and get to experience these awesome conversations with people on your campus is just the most gratifying thing. I know that sometimes student groups get really comfortable with being with themselves and doing meetings together and being very internal, and because we're afraid that sometimes maybe we'll say the wrong thing. Maybe we will make someone more pro-choice, which is impossible, by the way, or maybe we'll lead someone towards a decision that we would never want for them. And once I see these student groups and I work with these student groups and watch them step out of their comfort zone, watch you step out of your comfort zone and actually have conversations with students and be able to offer resources and support, that's just the best thing for me, because you guys are becoming a visible presence on campus and you're becoming a voice for your group, and you are being great ambassadors for the pro-life movement. There is, nothing more that I find more joy in, well, I guess a lot of things I find more joy in, than watching you guys be good ambassadors, showing your campus that you are caring, loving, compassionate, non-judgmental people who are actually there to help them, not to hurt them. You're there for their good. And it's a wonderful experience. So campus outreach.
Campus outreach. What do you think, Peggy?
One of the things the thing that occurs to me, because Heartbeat International is an association of pregnancy help centers all over the world, but we have close to 2,000 affiliates now, and 1,200 of them are in the United States. So we have quite a few affiliated pregnancy centers that are close to university campuses and want to serve university campuses. So I love it when I hear the stories of our pregnancy centers that are connected to Student for Life groups. And
Thank you, Peggy.
Pardon?
I said, thank you,
Yeah, I
Peggy.
love it. And I've actually had the opportunity to mentor some of the young women who have been presidents of their Students for Life groups. And I love it when they want to talk to me about how can they have a better relationship with their local pregnancy center and form a kind of a partnership. Because the Pregnancy Center has lots and lots of resources. I mean, they can provide speakers, they can provide education for your members, but they are also, of course, the people that you need as resources when you do have a friend or an associate, or you find someone on campus who needs pregnancy help or help after an abortion. If you've got a good local pregnancy center, they could be a prime partner. And look to them for mentoring too. There are women there that would, I think, love to mentor some of the of your members on campus. Some of them have men's groups. It would be very interesting for the men in the Students for Life groups to get connected with some of the men mentors at the pregnancy center and understand how they're helping young men whose girlfriends have gotten pregnant.
And that's a very important point. I'm sorry if I may jump in. Men, you have a role in this.
Yeah.
You know, don't let women's groups tell you that you can't say anything, you don't have a uterus or whatever.
Don't let him pull the uterus card on you.
No. Not going to make that joke. Anyway. So, squirrel. So, you guys, you have a seat at the table. You have to talk about this. It's a women's issue. Do you like women? Were you born from one? Do you hope to marry one? And take that beyond. Okay, you care about women. And so what you need to remember is it's not just about saving the baby, it's about you helping these women. And don't let anybody shut you up, because this is a human issue. This affects dads equally. Fathers on campus need to have some place to change their child. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So this is a men's issue too. Don't let anybody tell you it isn't. You're not preaching at women, you're helping to equip women and men who are pregnant and parenting students.
Thank you. I am so thankful that you guys came.
Thank you, Tina.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invitation.
And I just want to highlight a couple things because I think it's so important. This is about illuminating your campus. And I think you guys gave us some really good golden nuggets. I think it's that you guys don't have to be the experts. I think that is so freeing, Peggy. You guys don't have to be the experts. And because it's about caring for women, and you don't need any expertise to show people that you care. And you have so many resources right here in the Great Halls. You have so many great leaders and organizations who are the experts in these areas and that you can draw on. I think also just that it's about taking the first step and it's about making a plan. And you guys, one candle, right, can light the darkness. But when you gather all these candles around you, you can illuminate your campus and make a lasting, I heard a legacy change, changing something that won't just change for the time you're in school, but will change because you've affected the administration, because you've made something permanent on your campus. And I hope none of you high schoolers have checked out on this, because I know some of it probably doesn't apply to you. Yet. And that's what I want to say. I'm hoping you hold this stuff, because you're about to be released onto colleges that need you. Colleges that SFLA hasn't touched yet. Colleges that maybe there's a pro-life student there right now who thinks that she's the only one, and so she's not saying anything, and she needs you to get on campus.
Or she's graduating.
Or she's graduating, that's right. So thank you, ladies. Thank you guys for your time. I hope that you go out and really illuminate your campuses. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.